Hey everyone, my name is Nick Lambert. I'm the CEO of Doc Labs and welcome to our latest live event. We haven't done one of these for a while, so I'm really looking forward to this one. As many will in the industry will be aware, the EU has just announced its business wallet, which of course is a kind of digital solution allowing companies to authenticate and exchange legally binding documents within the 27 EU member states. And to talk us through what's happening, we've got two really key voices that are helping to shape this initiative. We've got a returning guest, obviously a glutton for punishment. Viky once wasn't enough. So we've got Viky Manaila, who is the Trust Services Director at Intesi Group, joining us. And we also have Rob Brand. Rob is the Senior Policy Officer at the Netherlands Ministry of Economic Affairs. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Oh, you're welcome, Viky. And just a quick run through before I kind of pass over, just to kind of give you guys an expectation about what we'll do today. So we'll be discussing obviously around the topic. We'll be leaning on Viky and Rob to let us know a little bit more about what the business wallet is and actually why does it matter. How our organization's going to kind of receive and manage credentials. We're going to get into some use case discussions as well. There's been kind of the role of pilot projects that we'll be getting into as well. Of course, we've seen those with the individual identity wallets, and we're going to see, I'd imagine, a similar approach for these organizational wallets. And in order for the structure for this event, it's going to be kind of split into three sections. We're going to first have Viky take us through a slide deck and a presentation, really giving us the core information that we need for kind of 15-20 minutes or so. And then we'll get into a kind of live Q&A between myself and Rob and Viky on questions that we've curated at Doc Labs. And then the final part of the episode will open it up to audience members to ask questions, and we'll ask those towards the end. So if you'll be watching this on Riverside, please type those questions into that kind of web app, and Francisco will be on hand to select. We'll try and get through all of them if we can. It's not always possible, so if it's not, we'll try and pick out the best ones. And if you are listening online, thank you very much for joining us. If you could please drop in the chat and let us know where you're from. That really gives us a good feeling for the representation that we have during this call. So yeah, if I can pass back to you, maybe Viky and Rob, you could just provide some short introductions to yourself, and then Viky, I think if you can get going with the slide deck, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. I'm Viky Manaila, Trust Services Director with the Intesi Group, an Italian qualified trust service provider, and I'm here to have this conversation about the new business wallet proposal for a regulation. And thank you for joining and following us.
Thank you. And great to have you on board, Viky. And over to you, Rob.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick. Rob Brandt. I work at the Ministry of Economic Affairs in the Netherlands. You introduced me as that. The views I will be expressing tonight are not the views of the ministry or even the Dutch government. But besides that, I'm also a member of the WE BUILD Consortium. I'm one of the initiators of it. And I would say an expert being in the field for more than 30 years right now.
Great. Yeah, we're definitely lucky to have you. And thanks for those intros. So Viky, is it okay if you can ask you to share your screen?
Yes,
and
sure.
And then open the floor for you to kind of go through the presentation. Looking forward to it.
Yes, here it is. So we have a new proposal for a regulation, business wallet, EU business wallet. Let's see what this EU business wallet is about. So first of all, I would like to start with a few highlights. What I would like you to remember at the end of this session, the EU business, the public sector bodies must enable the use of EU business wallets. There are no obligations on economic operators to adopt or to use there, but I'm sure they will perceive immediately the benefits and will start adopting it and using it. Also, this regulation will establish a European digital directory that will be created and maintained by the European Commission. And through this European digital directory, we'll have the enablement of economic operators and public sector bodies to be reach out, to be contacted. And last but not least, it envisages a secure communication channel for transmitting and receiving electronic documents and data. What are the core functionalities of the EU Business Wallet? First of all, we have, starting from top, going from left to right, we'll have the owner identification data. That is the equivalent of PID for those familiar with EU DI wallet framework, but for legal organizations, for businesses. Another important functionality of the EU Business Wallet is the electronic attestation of attributes, ability to issue and to share these attributes, would allow also the economic operators to seal documents, to sign with qualified electronic signature business documents, to stamp those documents. Will also have the possibility to share information or documents through the qualified electronic register delivery service. This is not a new service. The QERDS is a service that has been regulated since the eIDAS regulation 2014, but now becomes relevant and important. Also, the business wallet will have a dashboard for communication exchange through this service, the electronic register delivery service, and would allow the request and share of data between business wallets, but also with EU DI wallets, the personal European digital identity wallets, and with relying parties. Now, moving to technical features. We have to understand that the EU Business Wallet will be based on common protocols and interfaces for sharing attestations, those electronic attestation of attributes, including the owner identification data. Would allow the secure onboarding of the owner of the business wallet with eID means at level of assurance substantial or high. So we are not talking here about the onboarding of the persons, but onboarding of the owner of the EU Business Wallet, would be interoperable with other EU DI wallets and other EU Business Wallets. Will have an interface for secure communication channel and the assignment of digital addresses of the companies. Of course, would be built following security by design principles, would enable the validation and the revocation mechanism. There are two key features that we would like to highlight today. One is the secure communication channel, because this is really important, would allow the transmission and receiving of documents and data through this qualified electronic registered delivery service that would be provided by qualified trust service providers. And the solution, this secure communication channel is standardized across EU. While the technical requirements and detailed specifications for this secure communication channel key feature will be provided after the entering into force of the final form of the regulation through implementing acts. For those following the EU DI framework are pretty familiar with the implementing acts that follow the regulation, eIDAS regulation. The second key feature is the EU Digital Directory. So this will be the trusted source of information for EU businesses, business wallet owners at EU level. The EU Digital Directory will be maintained by the European Commission. The providers of the EU business wallet must notify the information to the Commission regarding the business owners, and will be accessible only to business wallet owners and to business wallet providers. Of course, also the EU Digital Directory will be based on standards and technical specifications that will follow through implementing acts. What are the requirements and who can provide the EU business wallets? First of all, can be provided by EU established company. And here I would like to highlight the fact that there is a very stringent requirements that these companies must be placed and operate in a EU member state, to not be controlled by a third country, and also to not have participations from a third country entity. The business wallet can be provided as well by EU institutions, EU bodies and agencies, and is for the first time that EU institutions are subject also to this to a regulation. In this case, the EU business wallet regulation. There are requirements for the providers. They must comply with all the requirements for trust service providers, and we are familiar with those from eIDAS regulation. Of course, in addition to that, we have a compliance with NIS2 directive, the cybersecurity requirements, the requirements for high-risk suppliers. And the providers also must ensure that if they have suppliers of software, of pieces of software or security solutions, those suppliers must comply as well with the relevant security standards and requirements. What are the obligations for the EU business wallet providers? First of all, they must implement the appropriate technical and organizational measures, ensuring confidentiality, integrity, authenticity, interoperability, and availability of the data and of the solution. They must ensure also that only the authorized representatives are informed about their rights and obligations when they subscribe to have a business wallet. They must notify any substantive changes or the substantive changes or overall structure changes in the solution they provide, which may have an impact on their compliance. This should be notified to the competent supervisory body. In case of suspension, revocation, or termination of the service, they must notify the owners of the business wallets, and this is not new, is a common requirement for trust service providers. So we see here that there are a lot of requirements that are very familiar for qualified trust service providers on eIDAS, under eIDAS regulation. And also they must notify the European Commission on business wallet owners, so the Commission can update the EU Digital Directory, can record the information there. Supervision. Who can supervise the EU business wallet providers? That supervision will be ensured by the existing eIDAS supervisory bodies. So we won't have any additional authorities. It will be the same at EU level in each member state. The current eIDAS supervisory body will supervise also the business wallet providers. For providers coming from EU institutions, bodies, or agency, it will be the Commission that will ensure this supervision. And also, we must is the ex post supervision and monitoring of the providers, meaning that you will no longer need to have an approval prior to be allowed to provide the service. Last but not least, the qualified trust service providers registered and qualified under eIDAS regulation will benefit from a light process because they already comply with all the requirements coming from there that are much more stringent. What is the process? So how can a company interested in becoming a provider for a EU business wallet can do that, and what are the steps? First of all, the first step is the notification. So providers that are interested in delivering a solution and providing this service must submit all the information required to the supervisory body, like name, register number for the company, a description of the solutions, core functionalities, and all the features that the business wallet they provide has. They must also submit a declaration of conformity with the requirements of the regulation, and the supervisory body has 30 days to review the notification. What comes next? The supervision. So the supervisory body will review the notifications received from providers. They also may investigate complaints against providers once they are operating on the market. It is also the task of the supervision to coordinate with other authorities in case is necessary, like cybersecurity authorities, national cybersecurity authorities, or data protection authorities on a case-by-case basis. And they also will enforce penalties on providers in case of breaching the regulation. Once the providers are approved by the supervisory body at the member state level, the member states will notify the Commission, and the Commission will publish the providers in the trust list for business wallets. Once the provider is listed there, they can provide services across the EU. Doesn't matter where they are based, in which member states. Their service can be provided in any other member states. Once again, the Commission is responsible for supervision of EU institutions, bodies, and agencies delivering EU business wallets for their organizations. It is also important to mention here the legal effect and the obligations on public sector bodies. So public sector bodies have a mandatory acceptance, including at EU level, for identification and authentication, for signing and sealing documents, for submitting documents from business operators, and also for sending and receiving notifications. This acceptance should happen 24 months after the entry into force of the regulation, and there is also 36 months a transitional period for supporting the EU business wallet as communication channel, because we know some member states already have in place a communication channel established, but in addition to that, they must support the EU business wallet. Now, I would like to pass the floor to Rob to walk you a bit through We Build Consortium and to understand the relevance of this large-scale pilot for the EU business wallet regulation. Rob, is over to you.
Yes, thank you, Vicky. Yeah, of course, we are very excited as We Build Consortium about a new regulation about wallets for businesses, because, of course, we are doing use cases for businesses and use cases for payments. So it is really a good fit to what we will be doing in We Build. We have 3 coordinators in We Build, 3 organizing organizations, and there it's not a coincidence that 2 of them are business registers within the EU, namely the KVK from the Netherlands and the Bolagsverket from Sweden. We are organized in 3 domains within We Build. First of all, I would say foremost is the business domain, where we have use cases, especially for businesses. And I think one of the most exciting is the KYC use case. We see that many businesses are entering on that use case because they see the potential of it, and also the potential of the European business wallet for that use case. But also create a company branch in a different member state. That is one of the use cases that is, I think, also important for scale-ups, where they have expressed that it is very difficult right now to open up a branch if you want to expand your business. Foreign tax declaration, which of course also applies to a lot of businesses. And then the other 3, the representative on behalf of issue micro-credentials and the access to the once-only technical system are also relevant to what we will be doing. Then we have a second domain, that is the supply chain domain, where there's also a lot of compliancy involved, and there the business wallet can also help in speeding up processes for businesses, but also for the relying parties. And I think one of them also important is the transportation sector, where also linked to the retail sector, which I think is will benefit hugely from business wallets, and of course e-invoicing and the data spaces use case that we have there. Then not specifically for business wallets, but I would say like 50% is the domain payments in the previous large-scale pilot, EWC, but also in NoBit and in potential, there were use cases for citizens, for instance, consumer banking to enter an account with a bank. And we have expanded that with the corporate banking, but also from the basis for the consumer banking, and see what we can build upon from the experience in the previous large-scale pilot. So actually we have 13 use cases in We Build, and to me they all seem relevant. Not all, especially for the business wallet, but I would say at least half of them will drive the business wallet.
Thank you. So here's the last slide of my presentation with the resources that will be shared afterwards. So now I think it's time for the questions, Nick.
Yeah, thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you. It worked flawlessly, Viky. So thanks very much. Really, really useful information. It's been something that we've all been very closely following eIDAS from a citizen perspective, and it feels almost refreshing to be, you guys will probably be in the weeds with this, so maybe it doesn't feel so new to you, but from my perspective, it feels really good to start understanding and picking apart what this means for businesses. So the change of topic is fantastic. First question off the bat from me is, Viky, to you, when can we expect to have this business wallet regulation in play? I think you mentioned an implementation act. How do we understand what is currently released? It sounds like it's the form of a proposal at this stage.
Yes, as any regulation coming from the European Commission, first is released as a proposal. Now we'll start the common process for those that are not familiar with the EU context of the regulations. The proposal of the regulation is going through in parallel through to the Council of European Union and through the European Parliament. Each body will analyze the proposal and will come with their amendments in case they want to change anything or they have questions or doubts. I don't know, Rob, if you want to complement, you are free to interrupt me and or to continue. After a certain period, when they finish to analyze and to come with their own version of the regulation, it will enter into so-called trilogue, where the Commission, the Council, and the European Parliament sit together and go through from article to article to understand and to come to an agreement on the text. And then we'll have the final version of the regulation that will be voted by the European Parliament. So I think we should expect next year, perhaps. Rob, if you have something to add, please go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the last stage after the regulation comes into force, we still have the implementing acts, which are being drafted by the Commission. And I think here the good thing is that there are not that many implementing acts when you compare to the eIDAS regulation. So I would agree it would be great to be ready during Christmas time next year. But of course, you never know in this whole process. But I think it could be a lot faster than the whole eIDAS process that we had.
Yeah, I believe this is on the agenda of the coming Cyprus presidency of the Council of the European Union. So it's on there.
And those implementing acts, just so I'm clear, are they the technical specifics of the implementation itself? In terms, does that get into things like standards and?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's also why they are important for implementation within member states and also for businesses. And that's also what we see right now in the eIDAS. I think that some of the implementing acts are still being changed a little bit, but they were, of course, much later than the regulation itself. So. But here it should be faster, I hope. We'll see.
Yeah, and maybe there's some lessons that have been learned as well. I'm sure, like when you start to go through these processes, maybe there's some ways to kind of speed things up or make them more efficient. So we'll see how that one goes. I noticed from one of the earlier slides, it looked to kind of KYC, KYB, and just from a first glance, you could definitely understand there's a massive need for the ability for businesses, particularly small ones, actually, where it can be quite onerous for them to demonstrate who they are to other businesses so that they can transact with them. And that would be an obvious thing for me. That would be one of the key challenges that this EU Business Wallet can overcome. What other ones, please feel free to expand on that specific one, but what other problems do you think or challenges this kind of new technology and new regulation is going to help businesses with?
I would say the biggest importance, I think, for business wallets is not only speeding up and reducing the costs, but it will also enhance security and will reduce fraud in a way. Because I think the key thing is that what we have here are the authentic sources, which provide the attestations that are in the business wallet or that you can share through the business wallet. And of course, because they are the trusted sources, that means that the data that is being shared, you can rely on them. Whereas currently, of course, it's difficult to check whether documents, either on paper or digitally, can be relied upon. Whereas here, you know that they come from a trusted source. So I think that is one thing that will also help the relying parties in here. And for businesses, of course, it is collecting the data and sharing the data, which should be much easier. So it will also speed up the process and reducing costs.
I think, in my opinion, the biggest gain will be the simplification of everything, because either as a company or as a public service provider, you have to deal with a lot of paperwork, and that will help immensely. Also, as Rob mentioned, you cannot trust any longer papers, right? So we have seen the proliferation of the AI tools that can fake everything. Is quite impossible now to detect video, so we don't think about the papers or PDF documents. They can be very easily manipulated. Think about invoices, right? So how important would be to be sure that the invoice is coming from the right business, that the account is a proper account and is legitimate from that company, and also the amount of the invoice is the right amount. It has not been manipulated. So this is huge if you think about.
Yeah, and if I may add, one of the things that cannot be underestimated is at this time we have some member states that are, I would say, like leaders in digitization, and they have national solutions that work quite well in a national situation, but they don't work cross-border, and only they have part of the functionality like logging in, but not sharing the data. And I think the analysis of the Commission is also that they are aiming for EU-wide interoperability, which is massive, I would say, compared to what we are right now. And that could also help entrepreneurs in doing business cross-border. Whereas right now, if you look at the digital things that usually it is within the member states, but as soon as you cross the border, there are difficulties that are very difficult to overcome. And I think that could also be very important for using business models that you can do business cross-border easily.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, I mean, it really sounds exciting. I think the implementation times, it looked like somewhere as a public sector, it was about 24 months from the kind of regulation going through, that at least public sector organizations must be able to, I guess, operate one of these wallets. And I'm forgetting, was there something for private businesses there as well? Is that a different timescale?
Well, maybe I can start. There is no timescale when you look at the proposal. And I think that's the other thing. If the Commission, of course, says that they want to lower administrative burdens and make it easier for businesses, their idea was, okay, then we also don't put the burden that you have to accept it as a business. But there the analysis would be, and I think it's also, the Commission has like a financial paragraph. The analysis is that for businesses, it will be very profitable. So we don't need to require them to accept it because they automatically will. And I think, for instance, what we see in the KYC use case, that there is certainly a business case already there.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So they're already incentivized just through more efficiencies to incorporate this new tech. And apologies, I thought I saw in one of the slides that there was a public sector requirement from 24 months from this regulation to get moving forward, but I've maybe picked that up wrong. Moving on, in terms of, particularly in the WE Build, this might be a good question for you, Rob, but please, Vicky, I know you're pretty close to this as well. Where are you seeing the kind of earliest and what you'd perceive to have maybe the biggest impact of adoption happening? Like, what are the most impactful use cases that you would expect in the early days?
My idea is the KYC one, but I would certainly like to give over to Vicky because, of course, she, as being a QTSP, which has an important role, maybe she knows the market better than I do.
Yeah, definitely. KYC, KYB is a hot topic and will be a huge use case opportunity for companies to adopt and to implement, but also the exchange of data, the qualified electronic register delivery service. So if I think at Italy case, where this service is quite from some time on the market, without being mandatory, has been adopted largely by companies because it's really useful to exchange, to send notifications with legal value, saving cost and time and everything you want, simplifying dramatically the communication, speeding up this communication. So I expect the same when we'll come to the business wallet. The companies are interested to move agile. They are interested to serve their customers easily, or to be able to interact with public service providers more rapidly, and to not being forced to send back and forth copies of documents or notarized documents. Imagine how many times a company is requested to send a certificate of incorporation that is notarized, that is conform with the original in those countries where there is no possibility to issue such a certificate in a trustable manner, or all the documentation that a company has regarding power of attorney, who are the persons authorized to represent the company. For large organizations that are multinational, they have many representatives for each country. They could have another person as a CEO, as a legal representative, as a financial representative that can engage the company for a certain amount when it comes to credits or loans, for instance. And all these processes are requiring a lot of paperwork and exchange of information through old style by email. Send me an email or send me in other way these documents. So that will be huge for companies being able to have everything at their hand, all the documents at a click distance.
Yeah, I think as well the important thing, like you were saying, is that it's getting away from this notion of things being emailed. Everything's now cryptographically signed, so there's that level of instant trust when you see these documents coming through. That's going to make things, I think, so much more efficient as well. I think we can see kind of broad how this regulation and technology can broadly help lots of industries, almost every industry. Are there any that are really specifically that you think will benefit initially? Any specific verticals that you think, like, I don't know, trade or something like that, where it can be quite onerous to get maybe a trade debt and things like that, get trade moving because of the all the kind of KYB stuff that needs to have gone through? Are there other sectors like that you think are going to be see the most benefit?
I think you're spot on with trade and commerce, because we have the supply chain use cases, and what you see there is compliancy is getting more and more important. And of course, the EU tries to cut down on legislation that you need to apply to, but apart from that, we still have many certificates to share that show that you are compliant. And there, the business wallet can also help, because it's a chain with a lot of steps, and in all steps you need to show that you are compliant. And there, I think the business wallet can also be a very important factor. So especially in trade, I think, and one of the things we are not currently doing in We Build is tendering. I think in the Netherlands we have more than 80 billion euros every year in public tendering, and there the business wallet could also help cross-border participation by companies, and also make it more reliable to share data and easier as well. That's what I hear from the organizations that are involved in tendering.
Yeah, definitely electronic procurement would be a huge case for business wallet as well.
What are you seeing in terms of pilots, Vicky? How does that build into the kind of pilots that are being run just now? Can you give us some insight maybe into what's happening there, please?
Well, yes, as Rob mentioned at the beginning, we are trying to build up 13 use cases where in all of them we'll have the European Digital Identity Wallet, but in many of these use cases we'll have for the first time the possibility to pilot and to test the EU Business Wallet, because we have providers that already have solutions for the EU Business Wallet. So it will be an opportunity for the market that we have this possibility to explore and to test and to come with the solutions and the implementations when the regulation will be finalized, will enter into force, and will have the implementing acts. Because this pilot started in September, we have 2 years to build and implement our use cases ready for production, so pre-production, and then we'll go live. I think we also could help the policymakers to understand the fitness of the regulation on the market, providing also feedback from our findings along the way in this process.
Yeah, understood. And we've talked a little bit about use cases and things like that. Do you see a big difference between how big and small organizations will use, like how quickly they're able to access the business wallets, get used to using them, and the actual operation of them? Do you perceive any differences that would impact small organizations versus large?
Well, differences in adopting or benefiting.
I guess access and use probably, Vicky, is the way I would phrase it.
Yeah, I think the access is for all the same. It will have differences in usage, in use cases, because small organizations mostly interact with public sector, for instance, or they are required to provide information or to certify information by other companies they want to enter into a commercial agreement with, while the biggest organizations will have different use cases for the business wallet. But please, Rob, compliment.
I do not necessarily agree with you, Vicky.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think like you have big businesses and you have small businesses, I think you will have big wallets and small wallets as well. So it could depend on the proposition that the market players will have in offering business wallets to companies. And of course, it would be a good thing that for the smaller enterprises, the business wallet probably will have less functionality. I don't know, but could be easier to work with and not as many things in it as for larger companies. Probably even the level. I think the regulation that Vicky explained has a level lower, substantial, and also lower high. So maybe for the bigger organizations, lower high is more important. So I would hope that the regulation and the practical circumstances will allow differences for big companies, but also for smaller companies, that it will not be that expensive, whereas they probably have lesser need for all the functionalities. So I hope that it will end up like that.
Thank you. Yeah, really full answer there. And nice to have a little bit of disagreement, maybe not too much, but nice to have some contention there, which is also always good. As usual, we've got so many questions to try and get through, and I don't think we'll quite make it. So I'm going to try and cherry pick the ones that I had planned left, and then that will allow us a little bit of time to get into some of the audience questions that Francisco has been kindly collecting for us. Thinking about one of the questions that stands out as particularly interesting, again, open to either one of you to jump in. And what are you seeing as the kind of biggest either technical, legal, or cultural hurdles that you see making this a success? And maybe the interesting one, I mean, technical, there could be obviously different technical capabilities with countries implementing this, or are you seeing? I think legal, I'd imagine, would be fairly. I mean, it's a kind of EU-wide regulation, so I'm not sure there's maybe going to be such a big issue there. But maybe there are cultural hurdles that you see maybe in certain member states that may cause issues versus others. Do you guys have a view on any of that?
I have one, but that is, I think, more like a general observation that we see also with the EUDI wallets, is that you don't want empty wallets. And in order to be able to use it, and for instance, for parties to say, yeah, for instance, in the KYC, if there's an organization that runs the KYC process, then they must have certain attestations. So you need the other side of the equation, that is the organizations that will deliver the attestations, so the authentic sources. And for there could be so many. I think within We Build, we had the analysis today that we have 50 attestations in the 13 use cases that we have. And of course, that's only 30 use cases with 50 attestations, which is quite a lot. And that would mean, like in all 27 member states, you would have those 50 attestations from the authentic sources, and that's only the start. So a lot of work is involved, I think, on the side of the authentic sources and the QTSPs in order to have wallets that are filled with things. So for me, that is one of the things that really need to start in order to have successful wallets.
Yeah. Does that put a strain on the kind of the UX and the design? I guess if you're going to get wallets where there's just rammed full of credentials, that can obviously be difficult to parse through and manage. So I guess that's going to put a big emphasis on how these wallets are used and operated. Would you say, Rob?
Certainly, I agree. I agree there completely. Maybe Viky has an angle on that one.
I agree as well. I would also add that we must be aware that is a change of paradigm, is a shift. And the market needs to understand what is this business wallet. So be that private providers, companies, small, medium enterprises, or public officials working and mandated to accept, they must trust. And the communication also and the education of the market is an important component. We will definitely have wallets providers. As Rob said, those wallets must not be empty, otherwise companies will not adopt, or why should they have a business wallet if they don't have where to use it? We will have, we should have compelling use cases where the companies can use those wallets, but also who is accepting the wallet, who is accepting a credential shared from a business wallet must understand and to trust that he does no longer need to request a copy of a document. And that credential that is shared has a legal value and is enough, is from legal point of view, has effect. So it's really important to communicate and to work on that.
Got it. Final question then for me, and it's going to be one of these annoying future-looking questions, kind of crystal ball stuff. In 5 years' time, what would you want? Now, the question for both of you, please. What would you want companies to be doing with the business wallet then that would feel completely normal at that point of time, but would be potentially surprising today? Viky, since I've got you, do you want to pick that one off first?
Yes, from in 5 years' time, yes, I would love to have both my personal wallet and the business wallet as well. So, as a representative of a company, I would love to be able to share documents or to use or to sign documents using the both wallets. Yeah.
Yeah, my answer would be, of course, the reason why we are doing it to make European businesses more competitive. I would love to see in 5 years' time that companies can put more percentage time to their real business and less time for these kind of administrative processes. And the other thing, of course, is the reporting activities, and can really be working on what they like to do and do best, that is run their business. And this could be a tool for that. But if we can make the EU businesses more competitive, that would be my best thing for in 5 years' time.
Fantastic. Great answers. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Thank you very much for fielding all of kind of our questions. Very, very helpful. Diving now into the audience questions. So if you're in the audience, thank you very much for participating. First question, and I'll open this up to either yourself, Rob, or to you, Vicky. Please just feel unmute and just please jump in if a question grabs you. The first question is from Hans, who's asking, can non-EU entities be owners, holders of a business wallet, and will they be featured in an EU directory?
Yeah, I think that is the good thing about the regulation. I think it doesn't stop at the EU borders. So the regulation will allow for non-EU businesses to use the EU business wallet. And on the other hand, and it's even bigger than that, is that non-EU businesses could use a business wallet or a solution that is being provided in their own member state, as long as it's interoperable with the European business wallets, and the Commission says it has the same security setup, etc. So I think the good thing is it does not stop at the EU borders, and I think also here the analysis, and that's what we see in We Build as well, if business is global, it doesn't stop at the EU borders. So I think the answer would be yes, there certainly is an opportunity for that.
And that makes perfect sense because, of course, you want max utility for all businesses, whether you're in the EU or otherwise. So that makes perfect sense. Next question, I think I'm going to say Poppy is your name. Apologies if I've mispronounced your name, but Poppy's asking, will there be a trust list for business wallet providers, not just for the businesses using it, but for the providers of the business wallets themselves?
Yes, absolutely. That will be the case. We'll have on following the same model for eIDAS regulation, and have also a list of providers for business wallets.
Perfect. Thank you, Vicky. And a kind of additional related question to that by Pierce. Will the kind of register number Pierce is asking, will it be a GLI for LEI number? Like I think he's asking what's the kind of maybe format of that number? Or is it going to be, where is that number coming from? Is that a new number that's generated by the EU, or is it linked into one of the existing GLI for LEI systems?
Yeah, well, as far as I know, of course, we have the EU ID, which will be suitable for many EU businesses. And for other businesses, maybe that cannot be in a business register, or for some other reason, for instance, businesses outside the EU, the format would be the same as the EU ID. And of course, attestations, you have LI as an attestations possible, or other taxation numbers or whatever. There could be attestations added, but I think the key is here we have an EU ID format that will be part of the, I think they call it the European Business Wallet Owner Identification Data. So that would be the central number.
Got it. Okay, that's very helpful. I think that answers the question. Pierce, hopefully that gets you the information that you need. John's asking the question, will the business wallet be able to cope with 3+ parties? Any plans for incorporated hooks and workflows? So I'm guessing the 3+ parties would mean that you have, today I'd imagine you have an issuer of an attestation or a credential, and then the recipient of that. And I'm thinking the gist of John's question is, would you be able to have maybe, can you have multiple signed attestations issued by multiple entities? I'm assuming, I'm trying to guess what John's asking. I think that might be what it is, but are you guys able to understand if there are 3+ parties? Can the business wallet cope with that?
I'm not sure what that I know what is meant. I know for signing for on behalf of a business, or sealing, that can be done by multiple parties, but of course that already is possible, but it should be possible with the business wallet as well. But otherwise, I am at a loss to understand completely what the question is about.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah, and I maybe misunderstood it as well, so I've maybe not helped you terribly, Rob. So maybe we'll try and get some more information in that. Certainly always good when you can find a question that we're not quite sure about. And there's a really good question in from Hans, though. He's asking, and this is related specifically to the work of We Build, is there any, in terms of delegated authority for company representatives, so of course you have entities, and the entities must be able to delegate authority for a specific individual to sign or represent the company in a contract or something like that. Is there any, maybe you can talk a little bit about the kind of, I guess, delegated authority work that has or hasn't happened within the kind of WE BUILD Consortium to this point?
We have that as one of the use cases in the business domain. I think it is BU 3 or 4. I'm not quite certain, but we certainly
yes, it's 4.
It's 4. Yeah, we have that in within WE BUILD. Certainly.
Okay. And I guess is the process for that where an individual would go through a kind of KYC process as part of that, and then they would, and then also they would be assigned, I guess. How does that work then with their own credentials? Is that something that you'll have a workplace credential, and Viky, to your kind of dream of 5 years' time, you'll have your own personal EUID wallet? How does that flow work then in that terms of that delegation? Is that something where you're using a credential from your personal wallet as well that's somehow delegating, or I guess the work, the organizational wallet's delegating you to do that? So is there some kind of interplay between the personal and business wallet in that circumstance?
Yes, I suppose will be this way, will work in this way, because as a company, you will you can issue these credentials to your employees for different roles, but you will use them to represent the company as a person, right? So you should be able to sign on behalf of a company, but the signature is personal. And you must be able to prove that you are authorized to sign on behalf of that company. And then is entering into play the verification of power of attorney, for instance, or power of representation for you as a person regarding to that company.
Fantastic. And kind of final question then, in terms of like things like payments, I think Ed is asking, can you expand on how consumer payments can be leveraged with a business wallet? But I'm imagining maybe they can't be, but I don't know if that's correct. Is it only, for example, business accounts that can be made, payments can be made through the business wallet? Is there any way to link a consumer wallet into that, Viky? And I know that's a bit of it might be a difficult question to answer, but it was posed anyway.
Well, I think there are two different situations: consumer wallets and consumer payments, and business wallet and business payments. So you cannot make payment through a business wallet to a consumer wallet. That I don't think will be the case. But I don't want to be wrong here, Rob. If you have another idea, please.
No, I think there are different cases. Of course, the business payments would be something, the processes that businesses have right now also in their back office systems, and that would not interfere with the personal wallets or whatever. So there are different things as far as I know.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And I really appreciate you guys answering, because I know so much of this is new and there's probably lots of edge cases that you maybe still find to this day. So trying to answer some of these questions maybe so early in the process can be very challenging. So I do appreciate you guys doing that. And I think as we've now reached the top of the hour, so we're going to bring the session to a close. And I really do appreciate your time, Viky, for taking us through the presentation and giving us all the great feedback. Rob, for doing the same. And I know you're traveling right now, and so I know that can be challenging as well to talk through the kind of background noise. So I really appreciate the efforts that you've made, and thank you for joining us. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to Esther Mackay, who has been on a couple of times, but she's been furiously answering all the kind of questions that are posing up in the chat. So a quick shout out to you, Esther, as well, for continuing to do all that you do. But thanks again for coming on. I hope everyone listening at home enjoyed the session, and I wish you all a great evening and a really excellent Christmas holidays when they come. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.